Corey, do we have a quorum? Okay. Good afternoon. The November the 3rd, 2025 meeting of Faculty Senate will come to order. The minutes for the October 13th meeting are attached to today's agenda for review and approval. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Next up is my report. In the 3 weeks since Faculty Senate last met, the leadership team has met regularly with President Benson, Interim Provost Kreider, and other university officials on a variety of university matters that are of interest to the faculty at large, including matters tied to the budget, conversations about speech policies. We've had some conversations with other Senate leaders of other universities and across the Big 12. But I wanted to mention, my time for this report to kind of point out a couple of interconnected things. The centerpiece being, if any of these things interest you, please, when I'm done, or sometime after I'm done, whenever you like, go to the webpage for Faculty Senate. You go down like about a third of the way. There'll be a feedback box. And we've gotten like a number of kind of disparate questions about a few different topics. And so if you have anything you would like to say about the rollout of Ultra and or specific questions that you have about the WVU budget, I would greatly appreciate it if you would put those in the feedback box and send them to us so that we can kind of organize those into kind of different groups of things to take to the administration for further consideration and discussion. The last part of what I want to bring up tied to that is going to be the focus or a focus of next month's meeting. If you've not noticed yet, why I'm doing this now is because I want to give you warning. If you've not noticed yet, our next Senate meeting is the day after Thanksgiving break. And I don't want to drop anything kind of big on you without warning you, or sorry, that's word choices, alerting you that this will be coming up the day after Thanksgiving break. As I think some of you are aware, we've been trying to work on a revision of this Faculty Senate Constitution for 3 years. And I want to stress that because it was started by kind of the leadership team period, not mine, not Diana's, the time before that. Last year, it was with the Shared Governance Committee more or less all year. This summer, it was with a subcommittee designed to kind of try and work out a few final kind of touchy issues. One of this being 3 different groups across kind of 3 different time periods in the university have looked at this, worked on it. It's probably not anybody's perfect document, but we've kind of have gotten like a lot of feedback from across the Senate and the faculty on this across time. And we think it's really important because we want to make sure that this body is more efficient and responsive. And likewise, the assembly will be more efficient and responsive. So the major changes that are going to be proposed are tied to the kind of the workings of the assembly. So we say don't have to worry about all gathering for quorums and then try to count quorums and then keep quorums, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the whole idea is to kind of make both the Senate's workings and the assembly workings kind of more efficient. But there probably are some things in there that you're going to be interested in because there are some changes. And so why I'm saying this now is in about a week, we're going to send y'all the kind of comparison of what currently is the Constitution and what the proposed Constitution will be. In 2 weeks, the exec committee, which saw this last exec meeting, will take it up. And so if there's anything that you would like to sort of say to the exec committee between now and the meeting, you'll have about a week to do that. And again, like you can go to that feedback box on the Senate page. And then if you don't want to bother with the exec, you just like want to do it yourself, feel free to come prepared to discuss this on December the 1st. But also it might be helpful to kind of give us a heads up about kind of the things that are concerning you, the things you think might need to be tweaked, that sort of deal. So again, whether it's the Constitution, whether it's the budget, whether it's Ultra, and it could be other matters. We just have heard those things especially. Please use that feedback box on the front page of the Senate website to help us kind of, organize opinion, raise it up, try to work out some problems. And with that, think that's the conclusion of my report. Are there any questions for me? Joe Jones.
Joe Jones, College of Creative Arts Media. Just to clarify, Scott, is the feedback box just for faculty senators, or could we direct our constituents there as well to get feedback?
The feedback box on that page is to come to the Senate leadership group. So yeah, if you need to find a different way to contact the people in your constituency.
Okay. Well, like I couldn't send somebody in my department and say, hey, you have feedback or questions about the budget.
Oh,
go.
No, that's fine.
They can use
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Just like the idea of that box. And I will say, we're always willing to hear what y'all want to send us this way. Like people hardly ever use it. That's probably like why I'm spending like 5 minutes talking about it right now. It exists to help us kind of try and kind of figure out what is a priority to you all. And so, yeah, feel free to share that link.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions for me? Okay, we will now review the consent agenda. The consent agenda is used to handle routine and non-controversial business, allowing us to approve multiple items in one vote. Today's consent agenda includes annexes 1, 2, and 3 from the curriculum committee, listing approved courses and program proposals, and Annex 4 from the committee and committees showing recent updates to the committee rosters. Are there any requested changes to the consent agenda? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. I will now move on to standing reports. First up is the curriculum committee, Kate Johnson, who is looking very school spirited.
Thank you, Scott. We have the curriculum committee met and we gave you the items 1, 2, and 3 in the annex. So we have nothing further to report than that, but I'm here for questions.
Any questions for Kate? Well, thanks. Next up is the General Education Foundations Committee report from Cody Hood.
Thanks, Scott. I'll keep it as short as I can. We have nothing to report today.
That is very short. Any questions for Cody? Okay, thank you, Cody. Next up is the Teaching and Assessment Committee report from Ashley Sowers.
Well, to follow suit with the others, not a lot to report, but a couple things for your information. I think Corey's going to send out some information with the minutes about some upcoming workshops, virtual workshops on using your SPOT results and how to get those ready for your narratives for your P&T file. And then also a survey on AI that will be hitting your inbox soon. So how you are using AI in your teaching. That's it.
Questions for Ashley? Thank you, Ashley. We're running through record time. The fun of having a meeting 3 weeks after the last meeting. Next up would be the committee and committees report and the board of governors reports from Leslie Cottrell, but Leslie is at a conference in Washington, D.C. It is a public health conference tied to many people who work for the federal government who cannot currently work. So she is doing a lot of service things this afternoon and cannot be here. She has nothing to report for the committee of committees beyond what was already approved in the agenda. As for the board of governors, I mean, I guess I should say that she wouldn't have anything for that either because the board next meets at the end of this week on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. After that, we have the report from Faculty Representative State Government Jason Gross, who can also not be here today because he's attending the legislative interim meetings. His only update was that the West Virginia Advisory Council Faculty, ACF, is meeting this coming weekend on Friday and Saturday, and he has happily gotten the support and the attendance of WVU's Dan Kimball and State Senator Mike Oliverio to join them for that meeting. Moving on to guest reports. First up today, we have Interim Provost Paul Kreider.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good to be here. I just have a few updates for you. So dean searches. The dean searches for library in the Eberly College are initiated. The library search was announced publicly today. And for both searches, listening sessions were held and feedback was obtained through surveys that were collected. The Eberly search should be announced publicly next week. The College of Law Dean search continues to progress. First round interviews are concluded, and the committee and Greenwood Asher and Associates will use the month of November to conduct thorough reference checking before reconvening to decide which candidates to bring to campus interviews. We expect those to happen in the first week of December. The library dean candidates are likely to visit campus in early February, and the Eberly candidates are anticipated to visit campus in March. My office will continue to provide updates and will share specific details about each of these searches as they progress forward. So I want to be sure that you are all aware of upcoming open sessions with PEIA as they are hosting feedback and public review of their new plan. The details I'm sharing are from an article on October 23rd from Metro News, if you want to go and find that article. PEIA's financial proposal for next year includes a 3% aggregate premium increase for both employees and employers, and a $200 monthly spousal surcharge increase. PEIA's proposed 3% premium increase for the coming year would apply to both employees and employers and retirees who are also currently holding a PEIA. They will also incur a 3% premium increase. There is also a proposed option called Plan D. That's a lower premium plan that requires members to be West Virginia residents and receive all services in West Virginia, except for emergency care or specific procedures that are not covered within the state. Under the Plan D conversion, premiums would decrease by 34%. The payment ratio between the employer and the employee would go from 80-20 to 75-25. The deductible would increase 425%, and the maximum out-of-pocket would increase 55%. For information about all of the above, please visit the website at peia.wv.gov. Again, peia.wv.gov. As I mentioned, there are open forums to provide feedback. The dates and locations are as follows. November 6th at the Beckley-Raleigh County Convention Center. November 10 at the Holiday Inn in Martinsburg. November 13 at the Cultural Center in Charleston. November 17 at the Mountain Lair Student Union here in Morgantown. And then on November 20th, there is a virtual town hall. So registration begins at 5:30 on the day of the event, and public hearings start at 6 p.m. Again, information peia.wv.gov. I wanted to mention upcoming WVU Cyber Summit. So it's the first ever Mountain State Cyber Summit slated for Wednesday, November 12 at the Morgantown Marriott Hotel. The summit, titled Shaping Our Digital Future Together, focuses on the power of collaboration. It will bring together government, industry, academia, and national security experts in an effort to showcase how collaboration can outpace threats, protect critical systems, and strengthen security at every level. The summit also offers a platform to spotlight the work of university scholars and students and explore how cyber is transforming nearly every field. Faculty and staff are encouraged to attend and asked to encourage their students to attend as well. The summit will provide them with rare exposure to real-world challenges, emerging career paths, and direct access to top employers and decision makers in the cyberspace. The registration is free for all faculty and staff and students, and a shuttle service will be provided from the downtown and Evansdale campuses. Details on the full agenda and registration link are on the website cyber.wvu.edu. So that concludes my report. I'll save the honorary doctorate information for later for executive session. I will respond to any questions if you may have them. Hearing none. Am I good to go? Anybody online? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Interim Provost Greider. Next up is an update on assessment and the HLC visit from Associate Provost Louis Limack.
Afternoon, colleagues. How we doing? I've got a veritable plethora and cornucopia of unrelated events and updates for you. First is that we've got our HLC results back from the summer. All components of accreditation and federal compliance were met. If you do not speak accreditation that is as good as it gets. So, thanks. Yeah. Whole institutional community. I would like to just pause and say I think that is a moment for congratulations for the institutional community, faculty, staff, and students. It is genuinely a privilege to occupy my position as that self-study is coming together and see what everyone does every day all across the institution to deliver all that we deliver to our students and faculty and staff and community. It is humbling. It is incredible. It is amazing. And the accreditation team was thrilled to see what we do. They were highly complimentary of large chunks of our self-study, as well as all the people who came out and spoke to the team, which I always appreciate. So I thank you, all of you who just do your thing to do all that we can for our students, for each other, but also then did the extra to send me text, evidence, all those annoying emails, more so than usual that I send, as well as show up and talk to our team. So thanks again. A bit of a procedural update. The Graduate Council and the Undergraduate Council conduct our Board of Governors program reviews at the university. Up until this point, those bodies have conducted those reviews separate from each other. This spring, I'm going to ask them to come together to conduct their reviews as a university council. The idea there is they will still conduct undergraduate program reviews for the undergraduate council, graduate program reviews for the graduate council, but then have a discussion about what they are seeing at the college level. Many of our colleges have all of their programs come through at one time. And in the last few years, as we've gotten more deliberate and considerate about what we look for in these reviews, there are things that we would like to provide as feedback back to the college or school as a whole. That conversation will allow us to have your faculty colleagues on both councils talk to each other about any patterns they see at a college level. I have formed a postgraduate outcome assessment support group or community of practice or something. Over the last year or two, this has elevated importance to just about everybody. The feds are requiring more and more reporting for financial aid. States are increasingly interested in it. I would say the public is increasingly interested in postgraduate outcomes. We are, as faculty, as administrators, our students and their parents care. It is difficult to do well. So I've heard from a lot of faculty, dean's offices, chairs, just about everybody up and down the gamut to pull some people together to figure out what we can do, what does work, as well as share what the institution has tried and not really had a whole lot of success with over the last couple of years. I have set out a kind of an initial call of interest for that and had way more interest than I was planning for. So I will send the link for that to Corey. If anybody in this body or anybody you know would be interested in joining us, please encourage them to do so. And I'm going to try and figure out maybe having 2 or 3 different kinds of regular meetings that we can reach people here, downtown, maybe out at HSC too, because we're going to have enough people for 2 or 3 or 4 full meetings. Last of these incredible updates is more about future state. We are increasing the rigor and comprehensiveness of our review program. So we have the Board of Governors 5-year reports, which are program level, and we have then the annual unit level reporting, which is at the unit, the school or department level. This year, we are going to be increasing or adding components on unit revenue and unit cost to that process. And what I'm going to do in the spring is ask for help. As we have continued to build out both of these processes, I feel that we have kind of seen them bleed in ways that I'm not happy with. We also seen little distance. They connect, but we're not clear on how they connect. I would like faculty in particular of any rank or chairs to help me think through the best way to communicate what we're doing, to go back through those forms, those processes, say, yeah, this belongs here. This is why we do this. If you've been to those workshops with me, I poke fun at some of my questions that I hate. So just take some time for a group of us that are interested to poke holes at those processes, return to the goals, make sure we're being rigorous, but also make sure that we're communicating to everybody clearly what we do and why. So that is the whirlwind tour of all my unrelated cornucopia plethora of updates for the fall. Any questions? Oh,
Hi, Lou. Brian Powell, Statler College. I was wondering if you could talk about what the intentions are for this unit reporting and cost data that you're looking to gather.
So I would say that the relationship between Board of Governors program review and the unit review is the best explanation of that, Brian. What we don't want to have happen again is a situation like academic transformation, or really any situation where 5 years after a program review happens, 5 years of things have happened. And instead of having more proactive conversations with a unit or a program about what could be done to improve those resource allocation problems or any kind of problem, that we have a method to interact with units strategically when those things are necessary. The unit review identifies units, so a whole unit of programs and faculty where there may need to be more resource allocation. The unit has grown past all expectations and they're not getting faculty lines, and we can have a conversation about, hey, what do we need to do to support the growth in this unit? Or on the alternatively, we're seeing the beginning of a trend that is downward. Let's have a conversation about, do we need to look at programs in this unit and what can we do proactively to avoid that situation? So it is the connection between those that I really want to work on, so that, again, chairs understand what they're looking at in the unit review and can communicate to you as faculty. This is what we look at. This is what the university cares about. This is how we're measured. But then faculty are still the primary drivers of program excellence, quality improvement, and continuous improvement. And how does that relate to telling your story and connecting to the unit health and viability? It's that simple to explain. It's more difficult procedurally to then go from the things that happen at the unit level to the things that happen in program review and make sure everyone is aware of how the two connect.
Okay, all right, thanks for the explanation.
Yep. All right, nice seeing y'all.
Thank you, Lou. Next up, we have Chief St. Clair and University Police give a report on campus safety.
Good afternoon. I'm Sherry St. Clair. I'm the chief here at WVU Police Department. Over here is Lieutenant Armstrong. He's in charge of our training department. And behind me is Lieutenant Wright. He's in charge of our investigation department. We're going to touch on a couple subjects real quick. We're going to go over our Live Safe app and all the functions of it. We're going to talk about our new safety alert. It's been around. It was got a new name to it, but it's our safety alert system. I want to go over it really quick. And then we're also going to talk about the trainings we offer. So the first thing, the University Police Department's ultimate mission is to work with students, faculty, staff, and visitors to maintain a safe environment for all. We want to make sure that if you guys see anything, that you make sure you let us know. We try to make sure we're really working on communicating out to you guys. But if you guys are the eyes and ears, please get a hold of us. Nothing's too small. Is that right? The next thing I want to talk about is our go over our safety notification system. There's 3 types of notifications: the WVU alert system, the campus warning, and community notice. Our WVU alert system is when there is an immediate threat. You're going to get that by all forms. You're going to get it by text message, message board, social media, Live Safe, emails. You probably need to look because you might have to take some action. These couple examples might be even a weather alert. Sometimes if we get a tornado warning, you're going to see it, gas leak in a building, an active shooter, there's many different examples why that might go out. Our next thing is our WVU warning system. This is when a clear crime has been committed and still could be a threat. This is sent out by social media, emails, message boards, and LiveSafe usually. We do not do the text. We save that for the true, you need to act now. Examples of it might be robberies we've had and we haven't made an arrest. We've sent one out, I think, this semester for burglaries. We had a couple of burglaries up in our cooperative zone. So we sent out a notification and we have not apprehended the suspect yet. There could be vehicle theft. I mean, not vehicle theft, but a sexual assault if we've had one and we don't know who the perpetrator is or something like that. Our next message would be a community notice. Now, by law, we're not required to send this out, but we do it to make sure people will stay notified of what's going on. They could be, this is usually sent out by social media and our LiveSafe. Examples for that could be, we've had a couple vehicle break-ins. We want to make sure you're aware, locking up your vehicles and everything. You'll get tips with this, what to do. Bike thefts. When we had a string of bike thefts, we would send out a community notice. It could also mean if there's we'll send out a community notice because we've always gotten something happens down on High Street, but it's not in our jurisdiction, but we want to make sure you're aware of it. Or if you see a large police presence, we want to make sure you're aware of what's going on. I'm going to go back to your main WVU alert. When we have a true emergency, our dispatch sends out a Zoom link to us, General Counsel, President's Office, and Communication Team. We are automatically on a call right away, and we are talking about how we're going to communicate this out and what we are doing. That automatically happens in the background when you're getting those messages. The other thing we have is our students are always into that system. They're always in the WVU alert system. Employees, staff, faculty and everything, you guys have to opt into that. We're encouraging you to. We always, that you know what's going on. So if we do have a true emergency, it's going to come to your cell phone, and most everyone has their cell phone on them at all times. So we are looking to see maybe in the future if we could opt you guys automatically in and you have to opt out of it. And that's something we have to feel to see if that's something you guys want. The next subject we're going to talk about is LiveSafe, and I'm going to let Lieutenant Armstrong talk about it.
How you guys doing? So who here has LiveSafe? All right, so we got a couple people in the room there. So LiveSafe, some of the things we don't realize or talk about was actually invented by a survivor of the Virginia Tech shooting. She could have stopped and been a victim, but she decided to be a survivor. And after it was done, she invented the LiveSafe app to be another form of communication to keep campuses safe. It is something that is free that we provide out to our campus. It not only will let you report a crime by text message, by phone call, but you could even send us a video or send us a photo if you felt safe. And we are able to use that with the prosecutor, even if you don't want to identify yourself or remain anonymous. So that's great, especially with our students not wanting to get involved, not wanting to get someone in trouble. And we always think about just going to be used as a tool when we go to court, but it's not. It's to be able to report something to your roommate, a friend down the hallway, or different things that we see a change in patterns that we see they may need help. So it's one of those things we can also use to keep our campus safe in other ways. A lot of things we talk about when we talk about some of our trainings out there is just to report something. Every time you talk to the police officer doesn't mean somebody's getting arrested. So we want to use every tool we have, and this is a major tool that we have on campus. So we can send that, we can use it by photo, we can video, and we can use it for other things too, just to talk to the Career Center and get help if there's a mental distress, to be able to report somebody that's in the class or with one of your fellow students and start to get them to the care team for the actual help they need when it comes along to it. Also, other things that come on there, any resources you need throughout the university, say that if something's happened in your classroom or something's happened in your office, you can go to the emergency needs when it comes to facilities and different things like that too. So the ones that already have it, we also included this year a panic or emergency button that's out there. So we have given the resource to not only any student, any staff, any faculty, but anybody that's related or coming onto campus for any reason an emergency button. So if they push that, they have the choice or option to give us more information. But if that's not possible, we're also just going to send an officer to that area to make sure that there's no emergency or everybody is safe. So it gives us that GPS location only when you hit that button to be able to go and try to report. Sometimes seconds mean, survival or life when it comes down to it. And that gets an officer started your way and started to get to that direction before we even get any more information when it comes to it. So there's a lot of new features on there like that. We always tell you guys not to just use it when it's an emergency. Start getting it out, look at it, get familiar with it. If you accidentally hit it, let us know. We may still send an officer just to check on you and make sure you're not in stress, but I'd rather somebody have an accident like that and then I'll be able to use it properly. This is also a tool that we're using along with the Blue Phone, so along with other things that updates your GPS as you move. So if you can't just stay at the Blue Phone, you could use that and it'll update your GPS as you go towards looking for help too. Brayden? Okay. I'll go ahead and start this and I'll pass it off to the lieutenant behind me. But we're also, the way we're different than any other department in the state is we have an opportunity to do community policing. We're a part of this community. W is our community, and we want to make sure to get it out there. Chief St. Clair makes sure that we have the right resources for our officers to give them the right training to make sure that we're keeping campus safe. But she also sends us to classes to make sure that we're bringing back the right programming and putting the right trainers in the place that they need to be to get things out for our community. One of my things is verbal de-escalation. If you can't talk or notice, I can talk a lot. So it is one of my features that I like to do. She sent me to Pittsburgh to learn with this Pittsburgh City Police Academy. Also sent me to Quantico to learn that information, bring a quality product back to the university so that we can talk to not only staff or faculty, but even RAs and different people like that. Sergeant Kuhn has been all over different classes throughout nationally to bring back an active shooter training class or reaction. Well, that is based on prevention and run, find, fight. The prevention is one of those things where we're using all those tools. We're getting Live Safe out to our classes when we're teaching that and all the tools possible to see if somebody does need help to get them the right resources before anything else might happen. I'm going to go ahead and pass this off to Lieutenant Wright. He's one of our lead instructors when it comes to Protect and a couple other courses on campus.
Hello. So Lieutenant Armstrong mentioned Protect, and that's the self-defense class that we offer here on campus. We've been offering it for several years. I've been instructing in it for about 7 now, and we teach it to everyone. Obviously, first and foremost to our WVU community, faculty, staff, students, and we do that once a month. Normally, we do it in September, October, November, and then February, March, and April. But we do also offer those classes to groups if they would like. A lot of times we'll have sororities that want to just have their group go through the class, and we offer that as well. We currently teach the class at the Student Health Building, room 101. We do that in the evenings. We try to spread the days out just because everybody's not always available on a Tuesday or everybody's not always available on a Wednesday. So we try to spread that out throughout the week. Each month we change it around just so that those who weren't able to attend can possibly attend the next one. But that is a class that we offer and we really enjoy teaching it. In addition to that, we also offer what we call a safety talk / self-defense demo. A lot of times, because the Protect class is substantially long, it can last anywhere from 4 to 6 hours, depending on the size of the class. We offer the safety talk simply because we do want to make sure that everybody knows good safety potential, make sure that they understand things that they can do differently to keep themselves safe. And then we give them a little bit of a demo of what the Protect class is so that if they decide that they want to go through the full class, they can also do that. But first and foremost, every day we're here to make sure that the community's safe. And so we try to offer as many programs and community policing programs that we can to make sure that we ultimately have that happen.
So that's just a brief overview of some of the programs and stuff we offer. Any questions?
Hi there, Mandy Wyrick from Epperly College. It's been a few years since Campus Carry passed. And I was just curious if there's been any cooperation or plans to invest in building security Most of the classrooms don't have doors that lock. They open the wrong way. You can't barricade. There's no furniture to use or anything in the classroom that can be moved to barricade. We don't have cameras in hallways. Buildings are unsecured on the weekends. We've had, threats to other faculty. Is there any kind of plan to step up building security and physical safety across the campus?
Yeah, we've talked to the head of physical plant and stuff like that, who handle a lot, Chuck Roberts, who's head of all of that. And to do some walkthrough some of these, because we realized that when our guy went to start doing a lot of active shooter classes. And
Oh,
he's
yes.
like, when they start going through and looking at classrooms going, there's not a good solution to a lot of these classrooms. You know what I mean? So
Well, it's unsafe for us and it's unsafe for you.
yeah, so I think a lot of it, yeah, that's come to light. We've talked about going like building to building, classroom to classroom to look to see, hey, what's a game plan for this? So that has been in the talks. It has not moved forward yet, but it has been in the talks. Now, camera wise and stuff like that, one of the president asked me what one of my top things was, and cameras was one of my top list of things. That's my top priority, is getting more cameras out there, and actually looking also for an AI feature for that. Is like, we spend hours and hours when we look at an incident and look at camera footage of maybe better looking at, if we have a suspect who's in a red, just clothing description, we can put it in a computer and it pops them all up of where someone with that description on is. And it saves us time and it saves us a lot of manpower hours to try to track someone if we're looking for someone.
I agree, and I think it should be a university priority to make the physical safety a priority. Locked doors is a basic security. I think every instructor in every classroom should have the ability to lock the door while they're teaching a class. If you have an active shooter, it's a turkey shoot.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
Is there anything that we can do to help with
I would
that
just keep
investment
voicing
in
your
physical?
opinion to that, because I agree with you. And so I think a lot of it's the money, but I agree with you pushing that.
If you want to reach out to us, we'll have Sergeant Coon, one of our active shooter trainers, come walk through your office for you, do a little bit of a process, talk to you about certain things that might be future planning, look at it for you. So it's one of those things you can walk through with you and kind of initiate some problems that might have or solutions.
Dina Brewster, Eberly College of Arts and Sciences. I feel like I could maybe have answered some of those questions for her. Like, I chair the Faculty Welfare Committee, and this has come up, campus safety, every year for 10 years. I mean, it's something last year, Brock, Lieutenant Armstrong and his team and I did a walkthrough of the downtown campus, like exposing identifying a lot of the things that you're talking about with like, doors that are just not even, like, if something did happen, there was nothing that we could do, right? And so we're looking at this again this year in faculty welfare. We've done it every year. Just want to advocate for the Live Safe app. I think, in particular, over the years, like every time you all have come to talk to us, like 3 people out of 30, on a committee typically have that. And there's some resources on that include like a safety walk where you can like just click and someone can follow you as you walk through campus. I leave campus a lot of times like late at night, and for whatever reason, life sciences, the thorough walkway is locked, and so I have to literally circle all of life sciences instead of being able to walk right through the building to the parking lot. And we brought that up last year. It's something we're still going to kind of look at. So if you have issues, campus safety issues, I welcome you to send it to faculty welfare. We'll approach this. I think we're still pushing for some of the same things. I mean, I think like the point that we get to is like, for every 50 people that want more cameras, there's 50 people who don't want more cameras. And so, it's crazy, like the disconnect between some people's experiences. And so, I'm happy to, field any of those concerns, and, we could do those kind of walkthroughs. And I think it is a money issue, I think, at the end of the day. And so I think us advocating for it is really important too. So thank you.
Thank you.
Catherine, you can unmute.
Great, thanks. Hi, thanks for that presentation. I have the I guess, honor to sit on a municipal board that is the Civilian Police Review and Advisory Board. So I do get a lot of updates from our municipal police. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about what measures you take in anticipation of major parting weekends. So I'm thinking about St. Patrick's Day of this year, where, unfortunately, a lot of students on Fraternity Row created a really unsafe condition and blocked a lot of exits. And so our municipal police's reaction was pepper balls and projectiles. And I think a lot of students were really freaked out by that. So just any measures that you take to notify municipal police, to work with municipal police around these major partying events.
Yeah, so after St. Patrick's, we did meet with their leadership down there, because I know that was not a favorable thing, the pepper balls. So we do mostly on big events, any sporting events, even Halloween, St. Patty's Day, anything that we think is going to bring big crowds in. We meet prior to discuss how we're going to lay out our officers, where they're going to be, stuff like that. So that's an ongoing conversation. We usually meet quarterly with their command staff to discuss things.
To add on that a little bit, we are in an educational field here. Education is key. I'm going to blindside Carrie just a little bit. Sorry. It's what we do to each other. We are right now in talks and working with possibly doing an alcohol education fair before we start to even get close to spring break or St. Patty's Day. So we want to try to get education out. And I know this sounds like we're, just trying to do little things for PR, but put you back, we did a little class like this with sororities 2 years ago and talked about medical amnesty. And 3 days later, myself and Lieutenant Wright were out late and we got a call. And because of talking about medical amnesty with that sorority group, they were able to know that nobody was going to get in trouble and to call us. And we probably saved a young lady's student's life that night because that EMS said it was within minutes. So I think that stuff is key. And I'll talk to you, Carrie, maybe next week or sometime we can sit down together and we have support through sororities, fraternities, the SGA, and hopefully W Medicine and Student Life to be able to get something like that out to try to get ahead of stuff before just reacting to it and get some of that stuff out. And hopefully we can make sure that no students go to the hospital that night. That's our goal, is everybody go home safe. Nobody go to jail, nobody go to the hospital. We all make it home to our own bed that night.
I'll just note that, I send out an announcement to my students around medical amnesty, and that's something that faculty can do as well to promote those public safety sort of education programs and measures that are in place. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. If you guys have any problems or any issues, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're here for you to solve any problems you guys have. Thank you. Thank you all.
Really appreciate you all being here. Thanks for the presentation. Next up is a presentation on student mental health from Dean of Students, Carrie Showalter.
How do I go back? Corey, how do I go back? I think it's skipped a slide here. Sorry, technical difficulties. Give me a second. Am I moving the wrong thing? How do I scroll back over? Back arrow? Oh, now you got it, of course. That's okay. Sorry about that. Well, thank you everyone for having me. Like I said, my name is Carrie Showalter and I'm the Dean of Students. And I'm going to talk with us a little bit today about the non-clinical and clinical mental health support that we provide on campus. We have 3 different units that really support our students' mental health. The care team, that's the team that I oversee. That's the behavioral intervention team that is non-clinical. I know many of you, I know Daniel's here. Daniel's a great partner. He sends care reports to us frequently when appropriate. We get a lot of students that self-refer, refer their roommates. And so the care team is the team. We'll talk a little bit about what the care team does, but we work very closely with Caruth, who is our clinical partners. And so those are the clinicians on campus. We refer a lot of cases to Caruth when they hit that level where we need clinical intervention, where we may have a student that is not getting to class and is depressed and is having issues coping, or something that we need some professional, experience. We send those to Caruth. And then we also have Healthy Minds University. And Healthy Minds University was created a couple years ago, and it's actually on the same building as Caruth, but it's our psychiatric unit and more longer-term care, because Caruth's a short-term model. And so our Healthy Minds staff can provide psychiatric and more long-term counseling. And we'll go into that here in a second too. So the CARE team stands for Collaboration, Assess, Response, and Engage. I know you talked a little about Virginia Tech. Behavioral intervention teams really became more robust across campuses post Virginia Tech, because what they found during that terrible incident was that there were lots of things happening with this person on campus, but people weren't putting those pieces of the puzzle together. So we have a CARE team that meets. We meet every Thursday for an hour and a half, and our goal is to review those reports. When we get a report in, we review everything about the student. So we review their history, we review their academic case. We may look and see where their grades are. We look and see where their overall grades are. Are they in academic probation? How are they progressing throughout the semester? We look to see if they have any Title IX reports, any other conduct reports, any care reports. And the whole goal is for us to have all of that information so we have a holistic picture so that we can plan the most appropriate intervention. So really the goal of the CARE team is to prevent things from escalating and help at-risk students, try to get the resources they need so that they can stay in school and be successful. This is the CARE team. This is the members. I won't read all these off to you. Sherry's here. Sherry's on our CARE team. We have someone from Caruth, and that's really helpful because they can share, some information. We get releases from Caruth frequently, and so that we're able to have more in-depth conversations. And we have people from Res Life. A lot of our care cases, I'm sure it's not surprising to you, are first-year students who live in residence halls. And so we'll have information about, are they plugging in the residence hall? Are they making friends? Are they having any, issues there? And we also have someone, again, from all of these places here, but we have people from the academic side of the house. And so Stacy Kearns and Freddie McDonald, sorry, just put his last name for a second, are on the CARE team. And so they really help us understand the academic piece of it with some expertise. Just to give you an idea of the number of cases that we have, you can see in 2016 when we started, we only had 132. Last year, we were close to up to 1,100, which is right where we were after COVID. This number for fall of 25 was only through fall break. So we have seen I think we're going to continue to see an increase in care cases because our students are vulnerable. And so we have students that are in need of services. We had, I think, a dozen or so just over the weekend. So we get them. We have had some weeks where we've had 50 care reports in a week. And so, we are a small staff, small but mighty. But we do, again, these cases just continue to be sent. And it's a good thing, I think, that people know we're here. So we're happy that we keep getting referrals because I think that we know the system then is working. I got some questions about Potomac State and Tech. This is the number of cases for Potomac State and Tech last year. Tech had 75, Potomac had 135. 55 of those were from the same case. So just so you get an idea of the breadth of those campuses. The type behaviors of concern, and I will say to you, since the CARE team started in 2016, these top 3 have been the same 3 every year. So we see health and well-being concern, mental and emotional health, academic concern, or resource or policy navigation. And you'll see if you guys are looking on the side, those things add up to more than the number of care cases. That's because people can mark more than one area of concern. And oftentimes there are multiple areas of concerns with students. This is the top behaviors of concern for Tech. Their first one is physical well-being, and then mental and emotional health, and academic. And I think this one's slightly skewed for Potomac State because they had a disastrous event. And so all 55 of those are from one event. And then they had some, again, mental and emotional well-being and academic. So academic concern you'll see is up there for a lot of our cases. We have a lot of cases that relate to students' academics. Just some trends that we thought was important to note. We had a 40% increase in critical or elevated cases from last year. And just so you have an idea of what that means, critical or elevated are cases where their needs Critical is immediate intervention. Those are students that are hospitalized for suicidal ideation or attempt. So those are critical cases. Elevated is a step down, and those are students who have been on our radar, are hitting multiple areas of campus, and we have real concerns about their own safety or the safety of others. We had a 47.4 increase in students that were hospitalized. And if you look at that last statistic, we had 27 hospitalizations during the last month of class, and 15 of those were for mental health. And I can tell you, I think we're on track to continue that this year. We've had numerous hospitalizations. We have them, we receive them every week. We get notice, just so you know, when students are in Chestnut Ridge, if they give approval, then we get notification from them that the student's been admitted, and then you will get a notification from us to get some assistance to help us work with those students. We also thought it was important to give you guys some idea of some of the things we do with the care team that maybe people don't necessarily know. So I'm not going to read all of these to you, but last year we had a student that didn't have a whole lot of resources and was unable to pay for laundry. And so our office put money on his Mountie Bounty. We put $50 probably every couple months to help him pay for laundry. We also work with dining. Sometimes we'll help with dining scholarships. And if students are food insecure beyond what the RAC can afford, we will assist with that. We pay for Ubers at times for students. There are sometimes students can't. We had a student last year that had a death in the family in Wheeling and couldn't afford to make it home. And so our office will help pay for that transportation to make sure that they can get there. And then, just a couple of things that we do. We have a resource called Language Line that our office uses. We actually use it. Chief Sinclair also uses it, but it's a translation service that allows us to, if we have students and their parents aren't native English speakers and we're trying to speak to them, we're able to use it's either video or phone services to be able to help us translate. And so we also visit students in the hospital when they're sick. I can tell you when students are struggling, and it's really important to them, both the student and their parent, that they have a point of contact. And so our goal in doing that is making sure that they know that, like, I'm your person and I'll help you navigate what it is that you need to navigate. So we try to do a range of things for students in distress. I can tell you those little extra efforts really are important to students. And it can be the difference between them staying after a difficult situation or leaving. Caruth Center, I'm sure many of you heard of Caruth. They've been around for a while. They're on the second floor of the Student Health Building. They also have satellite offices at the law school, at health sciences, and through athletics. And so they're a 24-hour service. They have a walk-in clinic for crisis. They also have an online service called Better Mind for our online students. They do a lot of outreach. They also do a lot of our alcohol and drug counseling for students as well. They have urgent crisis clinic. Like I said, if you call Caruth's number after 5, it actually rolls over to their crisis number. And so there is somebody available to respond. And that crisis number is through a service that we pay for called Protocol. But if they need someone on campus, they can work with Caruth directly and dispatch somebody with university police, maybe to a residence hall, to make sure that students are assessed by someone in person, which oftentimes that's what's needed when someone's in crisis, is that in-person assessment. They have about 125 or 110 available appointments per week. And someone asked us, it takes about 4 days to be scheduled. Now, I will say, if you're in crisis, again, that you can do walk-in any day at Caruth. But if you just need an appointment, say you're just struggling with anxiety, it does take about 4 days to get in. They have about 130 crisis hours a week. Their top concerns, I'm sure this is not surprising to many of you, are anxiety, depression, stress, and relationship problems. Last year, Caruth had around 15,900 appointments. Those are individual appointments they had throughout the year, just to give you an idea of the volumes that they see. And then for their after hours, these are the crisis cases, they had about 475 appointments for crisis. I shouldn't say appointments. You don't make an appointment in a crisis. Crisis meetings last year. Just again, and this is data that we collect through the National College Health Assessment. About half of our students that completed the assessment experienced loneliness. Like a third of them have anxiety, about a third of them have depression. That very last statistic is one that bothers me. It says, I feel that students' health and well-being are a priority. At 53% is the national average. At WVU, it's 32.3. So we have some work to do. Now, Healthy Minds University, like I said, this is something that was developed a few years ago. It's a shared effort between the Department of Behavioral Medicine and Psychiatry. It's a fee for service. And so it is, again, Caruth's meant to be a short-term model to help students that are having issues adjusting with more short-term problems. But if it is something where students need immediate assistance, we found several years ago that wait times for psychiatry in the community were very long. And so we now have HMU that allows for students to be seen pretty quickly. We also work with HMU, and so when students are released from the hospital, if they're in the hospital for psychiatric reasons, they have an appointment with HMU upon release so that we can then continue to provide services and work with them. Just to give you an idea, it's not meant to be a replacement for Caruth, but it is for those higher level cases. They also do medication management. And so again, they work very, very closely with Caruth. We work with them as well. They also serve on our threat assessment team whenever we have a threat assessment. Some of the resources we have on campus, many of you may know about Jamie's Law. It's a law that was passed that requires all higher education, or actually all education, including higher education, to have all of our resources available to students in the community as it relates to suicide prevention and education and outreach. So you probably got an email, I think you should have, a few weeks ago with all the Jamie's Law resources. We also have a red folder, which is the resources that we have. If you go to the care team's website, it's a resource that's meant for folks, because some of these situations when students are under stress, it's difficult to navigate those conversations, especially if a student expresses some suicidal ideology. A lot of people don't know how to navigate that. And so we have some resources to help you have those conversations, to help give you some, specific questions to ask and just some guidance based on the responses to those questions. We also have emergency resources on our website. I can tell you the care team does a great job, but if you have a student in your office who is suicidal, don't file a care report. You should call 911 or you should call the police and make sure they get to the hospital. We are meant to be a service to help follow up and ensure that students get the support they need, that they can navigate academic policies. But there is a level. There's sometimes when you need immediate intervention, sometimes we can just get someone to Caruth, and sometimes a care report may suffice. But there are different levels of emergencies. And so we do have guidance to help you kind of go through those. And we also have some examples of what those may be. And then just so you know, we do have some pretty robust suicide prevention and post-mention protocols. The TAC team, I think Sherry chairs our TAC team, which is our threat assessment team. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of our threat assessment, but I do want you to know that we have a team. And so if we have a situation, you'll see here, it talks about the NABID and the SIBRA. Those are the tools that we use. Those are the risk rubric and the tools, they're structured tools that we use through the care team. If someone is assessed at a certain level on threat to harm to others, then we have a threat assessment call. Sherry's the one who makes the call on those, and we have a group of folks that get together. So if it's a faculty member, I will not necessarily be there, but faculty, staff, assistants, there may be some folks that may be involved in a specific department. But if it's a student, we're part of that. And so we go through based on the assessment and determine what the next appropriate intervention is. So I just want you to know we have a threat assessment team. We meet as needed when there is a threat, and we are all trained to respond to those. And then last, I just wanted to make clear that, supporting students' mental health it's a group effort. It takes a village, and we have a lot of people, and I'll say many of you in the room are very, very supportive and really work with us to help, especially when students need academic support. You guys are fantastic in working with us on that. But this is just kind of an idea of the areas that we work with. We work really closely with Title IX. Sherry and I talk. I always laugh if you get a call from Sherry after 9 o'clock on a Friday. It's never a good thing. But we work very closely together when there's a crisis. But there are a lot of folks on campus who are here to support our students' mental health, and we appreciate all of it. So that is all I have, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Hello, thank you so much for this, Casey Kidd School of Medicine. I've been trying to sort through the fee structure specifically for short-term counseling through Caruth, because there were some questions raised by students who were interested in engaging but fearful of cost. I think there's a line that
There's no cost.
assessment.
Yeah, there's no cost for Caruth.
So the SAP assessments are not required.
The SAP assessments, sorry, and those are, yes, the SAP assessments, I believe it's $50 for the 8
It
classes.
says $50 to $300, and it was the $300 that were
Well,
scaring
and I can tell
folks.
you, so yes, I'm sorry, the student assistance program, there are a fee for that. And that is usually something related to a conduct case. So if a student has a conduct case, that's usually something that's part of it. I would tell you if a student ever has an issue with paying for those are the things that we can have. We don't want a student to not, we don't want a barrier to be the finances. And so $300 will be on the rare end. Most of them that we see are the 8 classes or less than 8 classes. But if that's an issue, please let me know, and that is something we can help address.
Will do. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, Joe Jones, College of Creative Arts and Media. Thank you for your time today and for coming. I did have a quick question. Can you clarify when a CARES report might be appropriate? So
Sure.
If only because I've done it when like a student says they're lonely, but now
Yeah.
we're finding out that everybody's lonely. So I don't want to inundate your
Well,
office.
I will tell you, I mean, I will tell you, and it's funny, I can tell you, we have, we're a very small team, and I think Skylar would agree with me. She's actually one of our care team members. We would prefer you file it, just because we do find that early intervention with students, if you're seeing a student that you're concerned with, I mean, in my opinion, what's the harm in filing a care report? You're going to put it on our radar, and we may make outreach to the student to make sure they're connected. So I would say we would prefer to be inundated. We would prefer you file rather than not file, because I think that again, that allows us the ability to intervene. So, and when I say not file a care report for those higher level cases, I just mean because if a student's in crisis, the care reports they're technically not monitored 24 hours a day. I will say I'm one of those people, when I get them, I look. Daniel knows, because I'll get one at 9 o'clock and I will look, and if it's a situation, but they truly are not monitored. That's what I mean in terms of if it's a crisis. But if it's someone in your office and you're worried, file a care report.
Err on the side of caution.
Err
Great.
on the side of
Thank you.
caution, always. Yes. Any other questions? Well, thank you guys for your time. I really appreciate it.
Well, very much appreciate both of those reports. Moving on to Senate business and announcements. Note that the Committee on Retired Faculty report is attached as Annex 6. So if you want to give a sense of what they've been up to recently. And we'll now move on to the matter of the honorary degrees. Next on the agenda is the review of honorary degree nominations. Each year, the Office of the Provost submits a list of honorary degree nominations to the Senate for review and approval. Senators receive a link to review the nominees' backgrounds. Earlier today, I realized that there was a lot of tech issues with some people actually getting those, but hopefully by the early afternoon, you did receive that. And there are printed copies in the back if you did not receive that and want to review the nominees' backgrounds. The process today will be to enter executive session, during which only members and authorized guests may remain in the room and online. During executive session, members will discuss each nomination until a slate of candidates is agreed upon. We will then exit executive session to vote on the agreed slate with the names excluded. Is there a motion to enter executive session? Thanks, Scott. Is there a second? Thanks, Eric. All in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Motion approved. We will now enter executive session. We'll pause briefly for people who need to leave. All right, I guess we're ready. During executive session, names and details